coming up later in the video. But now...
Sort of absorbatrix. Abzorbaloff.
Abzorbaloff, yeah!
This video is an ode to peak childhood. Doctor Who with David Tennant and Russell T Davies, the best monsters, and it's the loveliest thing that a child fan designed the Abzorbaloff and they actually made an episode on it. Thank you, Blue Peter. I had to actually start by watching the episode again for research purposes, of course. It was purely for Peter Kay because, yeah, he looks his very best in this episode.
No, I don't shake hands. Back. I suffer from a skin complaint. Eczema.
It was probably one of the best acting gigs he's got ever. This is only my second CosClay project, but I will attempt it nonetheless, and I will likely fail. I did do a sketch plan sort of thing, but I don't really know why I went to the effort of doing all this when I literally had the photos next to me on the computer. But anywho, let's get to the actual creation of this monstrosity.
Better than that crude pink shape you call a body.
I started with the Armature. Before I did start this, I was pretty certain I had some really thick wire, but I just couldn't find it for the life of me. So I got some crappy craft wire and I twisted it all together with a drill and I hoped for the best. Turns out the best is not that good, but it's hidden, so we're fine. Then I covered it in foil to bulk it out.
It tastes like chicken.
To make my life easier, I decided to tackle Mr. Loff in layers. So just to get things started, I gave him a little flat layer. You really don't need a rolling pin to flatten clay out when you have an assortment of round objects at your disposal. I gave him the once over and threw him in the oven for a little bit, trying to learn from my previous mistakes.
It's overbaked.
I used a pizza tray with like a holy bottom and baking paper. Baking paper.
Wow.
Once he was cool again, I decided to start with his face. More specifically, his face rolls. He just never seemed fat enough to me, so I just kept adding more. Now, at this point, I really should have noticed and done something about the fact that he can't actually stand up on his own. Yeah, spoiler, I didn't, and I suffered later. He just has really bad posture. Probably someone he absorbed.
And now, a tangent.
I used a variety of different tools and he ended up looking like a vigilante walrus. His legs are just really too short for the proportions. But we'll just pretend that's on purpose because, you know, he's an alien.
I'm an alien! I'm an alien!
He doesn't need to run many places. Listen, let's just not body shame anyone, even aliens. I simply cannot stress enough that I am making this up as I go, and I have very little experience, so please hold your judgment. Little Peter here is quite sensitive.
Look at me, I'm such a slow and clumsy beast.
And I haven't done a full figure form of clay before, and I definitely will do it differently next time, so just try and ignore the vast differences in his proportions throughout this video. Thank you. I'd also like you to, at this point, appreciate the time and effort I spent on the little face dangly skin tag things. They look like chicken bits. The Abzorbaloff has a single reverse buttercup wattle on his face, on each cheek, but not for the whole video because obviously I did break off the wattle on one side of his face at some point. I do apologise, little Peter. I added more clay to his forehead as well because he just wasn't big-headed enough. I didn't know how to bake him because he doesn't stand up in the slightest, but luckily because I made his belly so big, his nose doesn't touch the surface when he's on his front.
A blister to the touch.
So I could do his whole head in one bake. I got a little bit carried away and decided to do his moobs as well in this bake, as well as a couple of faces on his shoulder blade too, and the central one on his sternum. I just got a little bit excited and well, it didn't end up too well. There is absolutely nothing phallic about this whatsoever. I do not know what you mean. I put him in the oven like this, and I did in fact redo these faces later on too, so don't get attached.
I don't like to be touched, literally or metaphorically, thank you very much. I haven't got the time.
On your marks, get set.
But now, balancing little Peter like a pro, I then moved on to another set of cheeks. Now you see how much time and effort I'm putting into this face on his arse here? Well, I deleted that and I tried that again too.
Hold on. Don't I know you?
The face needed to be a little bit lower down so it wouldn't be covered by Peter's very chic underwear, so I tried my best to do a face transplant onto his very short legs, a little bit lower down. And look at that, this is me again redoing the first absorbed faces that I did on his shoulder blade.
Here's one for you.
Do the absorbed gradually get so absorbed that they eventually disappear deeper and deeper into the Abzorbaloff? So he can like start the process again and feed off new people over and over. Like, did the Abzorbaloff just get fatter the more people he absorbed? Did he start off the size and proportions of a matchstick and he just ate so much? Well, he absorbed so much. Or is he just a large species of alien? Maybe, yeah, maybe they just go deeper and deeper.
That's what she said!
Until they have no soul, no brain. The brain gets absorbed. Either way, my initial point was that none of these faces actually look like the characters from the show. But who's really paying attention? Not me. Anyway, let's not focus on the details. That's all down to that 9-year-old. We can blame him. I had a go at the legs and feet, which, by the way, I've never really seen in the episode, so they are not accurate. I did try to do these little claws with wet clay into wet clay. It didn't really work, and they pretty much, all of them broke off immediately. Apparently he absorbed ping pong balls as well, so I added those. And we have take 2 on the toe claws. And in this very undignified manner I put his underwear on. It is from Ann Summers. While that was baking, I had a crack at his staff thing. Hands and faces are clearly not my forte, so I don't know why I decided to create a monster with a billion faces and 2 sets of hands. That clearly was an oversight. For little Peter's hands, I learnt from my previous mistakes with the feet and prepared little claws so I could shove them in easier into the wet fingers. Again, don't compare clips from the show with my creations too closely because you will be disappointed. final bake time. I ended up getting a little bit distracted while he was in the oven.
Overbaked.
Yeah.
Too much colour underneath.
Yeah.
So little Peter no longer has as much junk in that trunk. To combat the unbalanced little Peter, I made some holes in the bottom of his feet so I could screw him into a base from the underside of it. This is some old photo frame backing that I glued together to make thicker. It worked, but he still looks drunk, but at least he's sturdy-ish. I just used some air dry clay to cover up the base and make some paving slabs. That will soon be the home for this woman. Notice how I didn't add her glasses. Why, you ask? Because I don't want to hate myself and throw the thing out the window.
This is an art attack. This is an art attack. This is art attack.
I mixed a base coat colour to cover the whole thing, and then I left Peter to sit and collect dust for 2 months. I don't really have a reason why, just laziness really. I got distracted, forgot about him, he got a little bit neglected. Anyway, then we got a kitten. She wasn't very helpful in these last stages, but she did make it very entertaining.
She wants the mouse.
Look at this. Nope.
Oh, hey, how cute she is. She's just going to get away so much.
Luckily, she was not absorbed by little Peter. I sponged on all sorts of different shades at random to create some variation and texture until I decided that was enough faffing about. I gave him a wash once it had all dried to make him dirtier.
That's what she said.
And then Peter got a bit of a dry brush to lighten him up a bit. Again in different colours for variation. I just kept fussing around with him, adding more bits and colours here and there until I couldn't be bothered anymore. I absolutely hated doing the eyes and mouth more than anything. Clearly I couldn't be a surgeon and I gave up very quickly.
Are you giving up so soon?
There's no point.
Please don't look too closely.
Hair is everything.
The last step was little Peter's lovely locks. I don't want to buy a load of faux fur, like a metre they were selling it at, so I just spent a couple of pounds and bought this furry keychain to rip apart. I don't know why, but I really thought this would take a lot longer than it did. I put on a time lapse and it literally took me a full 2 minutes. No! What did take a lot longer than expected was trying to cut a strip off of it. It turns out my Stanley blade was very blunt. PVA glue was a complete failure. It came off right away, so I had to whip out the old hot glue gun. His mohawk covered up most of the flat bits as well, so we'll pretend that never happened. And here we are, here is the final monstrosity. Hope you enjoyed.
Now meet the genuine article.
Oh my god.
Thing.
A thing? This thing is my true form. Magnificent! Oh, I could kiss you. Except I can't, of course, the eczema.
Thank you for watching me struggle my way through this strange, beautiful creation. The next one will hopefully be better and not overbaked. Anyway, here's more Ren footage for you to see you out.
You're next.